Aloha and welcome to the Big Island Hawaii Ultra podcast. This is podcast number 7, lucky number 7. And I really want to thank Amy Young for the, it's a little breezy today, so for the breezy interview that we did yesterday on Thursday. So again, mahalo to Amy. My apologies to Tailwind Nutrition for forgetting about what sugars are in the product. They were indeed simple sugars, nothing to upset your stomach. Super great product. Hopefully I can get some to Amy so she can use them. But again, if you need to get a hold of us, you can email me at joe@joefireball.com, and you can also check out our website at HawaiiUltra.com or our Patreon site, which is patreon.com/HawaiiUltra. So please enjoy Amy. Aloha and welcome. We have Amy Young today here at our Big Island Ultra podcast. Hello, Amy.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to see you. Glad to see that your smiling face is there. And we're going to do it for this broadcast. What I'm going to do is I'll have the screen switch and stuff as opposed to the side by side. So that means whenever you talk, your lovely face is going to come up and my ugly mug can just kind of go away. So first thing, can you tell me, I literally do not know anything about where you were raised, where you went to school. Can you just tell me some of the places that influenced you when you were growing up?
Yeah, the history of me. Well, I was born in Kentucky, and I lived there until like first grade. But my parents got divorced when I was like 1 or something, and or maybe 5. I don't know. I was really small. I can't remember. Then in the middle of first grade, we moved. My mom moved me and my 2 sisters up to Washington State, to Port Angeles, Washington. And that's where I grew up. And that's like where I feel like I'm from. I have a little Southern in me, but I spent every summer in Kentucky until I was 18, till I could say I don't want to go back in the summer. And but yeah, I basically grew up in Port Angeles, where the ocean meets the mountains. It's a beautiful place, and I am so thankful that that's where I was raised. The Olympic National Park is right there. You've got Lake Crescent, you've got Hurricane Ridge, you've got the Straits of Juan de Fuca. You can see Canada, like literally from my town, you can see it. Victoria, Canada, Vancouver Island. And yeah, so I went to high school there. And when I graduated, I went to the University of Washington. That was really fun. I liked it, but I'm not a city girl, and there was way too many people. And so halfway through college, I transferred to the University of Hawaii at Hilo because I wanted to be a scientific diver. And I was for a while. And except I graduated in college, I graduated in 2007 in the height of the economic recession. So all of the grants for diving positions dried up. And so I was a student diver, but with the department, with the DAR over Kona side. But when I graduated, I couldn't be a student diver anymore. And they weren't hiring. they were firing, not hiring. So I was at the bottom of the totem pole. Then my senior year, I met Micah, my husband. Well, technically we're not married, but we've been engaged for like 5 years. So, and we've been together for like 13.
5 years? Wait a minute.
Yeah. He proposed to me on the top of Cradle Mountain in Tasmania. And I said yes, but I don't want to plan a wedding. I just don't want to do that. I mean, I love him to death and want to spend the rest of my life with him, but like, oh, just I never had that dream of the wedding or anything like that. So, if, you know, so whenever someone wants to plan one for me, I'll show up.
Well, Tasmania, what were you guys doing in Tasmania?
My sister Katie lives in Sydney, and with her husband Mark and her new baby Georgina, and they live in Manly Beach in Sydney, and we went there to go visit them. And I think this was our second trip. I've been there 4 or 5 times now to see her, and we had a little bit of extra time, and we wanted to see more of Australia, and Tasmania is just right there up on the list. So we caught a flight over there, and we spent I think 5 days driving around and camping all over the place. And it was, and I really, really, really wanted to go to the top of Cradle Mountain. So he totally climbed Cradle Mountain in Crocs, and everybody was calling him Croc Man, Croc Man. So it was not a simple hike.
I think Grant and Janet, I think Miller, I think they did a thing in Tasmania like last year and stuff too. They're the only other people I know that have been to Tasmania.
Oh, wicked. That's awesome. Tasmania is gorgeous. And we scored the most perfect week too. Apparently we got super lucky because it was like warm and nice, and we could just like wear jeans and a t-shirt. But normally it's pretty cold. It's down there at 40 something degrees latitude south, 43, 40 something more than that. I don't know. But it's in the roaring 40s down there. So it's pretty cold right there on the Southern Ocean, sticking out there. So we scored a really, really beautiful day, really beautiful week while we were there. So pretty cool.
Where's your other sister? If your one sister's down there, your other sister is?
She lives in Indianapolis, but she travels a lot for work. She goes to somewhere in Texas pretty frequently, and New Orleans pretty frequently, but she lives in Indianapolis.
Oh, okay. Micah, what does Micah do?
He's a landscaper mostly. Like he likes to grow exotic plants. So we've got a shade house, we've got 2 greenhouses. Our property has, I don't even know how many species of palms. He knows exactly if you were to ask him, and he knows like their scientific name and everything. And so he grows as many plants as possible, and he sells them to nurseries, and he does some landscaping. He used to be a carpenter. So, many years with bags around your waist, and your back goes out. So he's trying to work his way out of that physical labor lifestyle and more into the landscape design.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because well, you were only a student diver, but you were certified to dive, right?
Yeah. I was certified research diver. I think I got to 100 feet certification, maybe 130. I can't remember, but all of that has lapsed now. I was a nitrox diver. You have to have a bunch of certifications to be able to dive for research. But it was really fun. We worked with the Kona DAR counting reef fish for the WAP project, the West Hawaii Aquarium project. That was a really special time of life.
Yeah, it's special underwater. I mean, I waited until I was, I think, in my mid-50s, maybe, probably, before I got certified and stuff. But it's it is just astonishing being down there.
It's amazing when you actually get to take time to hang out down there, and you can sit next to a coral head and you can see all the polyps come out and all the Christmas tree worms come out, and then you can just waft your hand and they'll all suck back in, and to be under a manta ray when it's swimming, it's just it's magical.
Of course, during my dive test, I still remember the instructor, she was going like this, and I was going like,
that's not good.
I passed. It's okay.
Okay, that's good.
So what brought you, going back to your college, you were doing college in Washington, and then what brought you to Hawaii to continue your studies?
Honestly, I wanted to surf. I wanted to be a surfer. I was really into snowboarding. When I was in high school, I started snowboarding. It was snowboarding and sailing. Those were my things in high school. I played volleyball, but I was terrible at it. But I raced small sailboats and snowboarded. And when I was at University of Washington, I was on the Husky snowboard team, but I wasn't. I didn't compete. I didn't like competing, and I didn't like the park. It was all about looking for the powder and trying to make it feel as close to surfing as possible, because that's what I wanted to do. But my mom was like petrified of the ocean, which is natural because the ocean is super cold up there. And so I kind of sort of transferred schools and sold everything that I had and bought a one-way ticket and then told my parents.
That's a perfect getaway story.
Luckily, they were super supportive. So I've been blessed with really great parents, and they said, please just graduate college. And, my mom said if I graduate with honors, she'll come out here and she'll buy me a new surfboard. And when I graduated with honors, I said, just please come out here. And so yeah, that was the best choice I ever made for myself.
And they're still back in Washington?
My mom lives in Washington and with my stepdad. And my dad lived in Kentucky for my whole life, but he has recently moved to Florida. He's retired to Florida.
So he's become Florida man.
Yes, and he is stoked. He is super stoked. He's got a scooter that he rides to the beach, and he like walks on the beach, and like he's super stoked. That's exactly what he always wanted, was to live next to the beach too. So I don't know why he spent so much time in Kentucky.
Yeah, because of the bourbon. No.
He worked for Jim Beam, which is really funny. For many years, he worked for Jim Beam. But this is not a plug for Jim Beam because I don't like Jim Beam. And they are not run by good people anymore. They actually fired him like a week before his full retirement, just so they didn't have to pay him his full retirement.
Oh, that sucks. Holy smokes.
I know, it was kind of a bummer, but he took it really well, and because he didn't get his full retirement, he needed to get another job, so he got a job as a zip line instructor. So lots of good things.
Of course, you know what I endorse.
Yeah. Awesome. If I could plug anyone, it'd be Ola right now. That's what I drink right now.
Our good friends at Ola Brewery. Yeah.
Yeah. I know that David Wild's like sponsored by them, and I'm like, man, how can I get in on that? Because I drink so much of their seltzers. I'm like, how do they not want to sponsor me?
This is your opportunity now. Anybody that you want to have sponsor you.
Right on. Go Ola. Just kidding. I don't need that.
When did you start running and doing stuff like that? I don't know. Have you ever done triathlons or?
I started when I was 30. I'm 36 now. I hated running when I was younger. I hated it. I was overweight as a kid. I come from a very overweight family. And I was pretty uncoordinated. But when I got to college, I started, figuring it out a bit more. I got a lot better at snowboarding, and University of Washington had a really good gym there. So I actually went to a gym for the first time. And so started getting a bit more physically active. And then after I moved to Hawaii, it was all about surfing. And when I was like 29, almost 30, a fellow teacher at Haas, where I work, Hawaii Academy of Arts and Science, public charter school in Pahoa, was going to do a Couch to 5K club. And he needed a female because there was going to be female kids. And so he needed a female. And he's like, come on, dude, do it with me. And I was like, yeah, running sucks. And he's like, just give it a try. And so I gave it a try, mainly to get in better shape for surfing, to tell you the truth. And I got bit by the bug. And I ran a 5K, and it was our local little fun run, and I won a jar of honey, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever that I won honey with my feet. I was like, yes, way to go, legs. And then my friends were like, do a 10K, come on. So I was like, okay, I'll do a 10K. And it was the Roadrunner one down at Hilo Bay. And I won a pair of socks. And I was like, yes, this is the best. You can win stuff when you run fast. And so then they were like, okay, now you have to run a half marathon. And I was like, okay, I'm on a roll, you know? Oh my God, it kicked my butt.
Which half did you end up doing?
It was the first Kona Coffee one. Oh. Down on Elite Drive. And yeah, totally. That's this year's mug, yeah?
Yeah.
That's what my husband uses every morning, that same mug.
The first year's mug I got here too, but it's huge.
I know. It's like that big, right? It's the best. It's the best for like cereal or something, you know? I like it. It's a soup bowl. And man, that one kicked my butt. And but then they were like, okay, well, you survived, so you have to run a marathon. So I trained a little bit harder, and I did Honolulu. And my sister Emily, the one that lives in Indianapolis, she came out and she ran it with me, and it was really awesome. And we wore like matching shirts that said "Forever Young" on them because our last name's Young. And it was a really special experience. But holy cow, marathons are hard, and I learned that the hard way. So I vowed to quit running forever at that point.
The universe, there's a universal saying that I've been privileged to be at the finish line of a lot of people's first marathons. And there's one phrase that every one of them says, and it's, I'll never do this again.
Yeah, totally. But then somehow you do, like, you feel better, you forget the pain, and you sign up for another one, and then you're sold, you know. And it just you know, our running community out here is the best, and I think that's really what got me hooked. It wasn't the running, because it's hard at first. It's really hard to run, and it gets easier, you know, the more you do it. But it was, our community is the best. Kendra is super fun and always delightful to see. Sally was, I remember her, she passed me in the half marathon, the first one I did, and she was like, you're doing great. You're doing so great. Keep going. Keep at this, you know, as she's passing me. And I was just like, they were like my first friends at it, and then just introduced me to everybody else, Bree and Jacob and Justin, who's like my brother in running, and so, you know, so many, I can't even name them all, Eddie guys and Kelly. You just look forward to seeing them more than doing the race, you know, and I think that's really got me hooked. And
yeah, and I'll tell a story about how nice you are. Back when it was this last year's Kona, 100% Kona Coffee, had the full marathon this year. First time they were going to do full. I of course stupidly signed up, and because of some stuff that happened on the course that I helped take care of, I was running again, dead last. Dead freaking last. And you guys, it was you and Jacob and Bree came out on the course to clean up. After you guys had already finished, you came out on the course to clean up the course, help pick up, you know, stuff on the course, and to help me, you know, stumble my way back in, which indeed I still remember looking at your beautiful face and stumbling and falling.
I remember that. I was so slow to help you get up that the guy at the beach helped you up, and I was just like, I don't know what to
The
do.
fisherman guy had to help me
Yeah.
up. But
Oh,
that's a good little microcosm of how great our community is, I think.
thanks. Yeah. Man, Bree and Jacob, they ran the whole that day. I only ran the half. But it was so beautiful out, and that's our community, right? It's that grassrootsy that we can't, we're not we can't expect other people to go out there and pick up after us. We go out and we pick up after ourselves, because these are our roads that we want to run, and we want to run them again and again and again. And man, we're really blessed to have such like a supportive small community of runners.
And speaking of running again and again and again, you are indeed, when did you do Boston? 2 years ago?
Last year.
Last year. So you actually you didn't have to suffer through the rain 2 years ago.
No, thankfully not. Thankfully not. But I did underestimate Boston, and it totally kicked my butt. Oh, and man, and I didn't dress right for it either. I was ready for it to be freezing cold, so I was wearing like these like warm pants and this long sleeve shirt that was all tight and warm, that like I couldn't even roll up the sleeves. And then like it's thunderstorming on the way to the start. Our bus had to pull over and sit on the side of the highway for a half an hour because of lightning. And everything's flooded, it's freezing cold, and then all of a sudden the sun comes out and it gets like humid. And I'm like, yes, this is the best for me. Like, I know how to do this, right? Except I was wearing like my winter parka. So I was just dying under all the clothing. So it was a struggle fest, but it was, man, that race is unbelievable. There's so many people that come out for that. It's crazy. Oh man, the whole 26 miles, there's like no break in people. It's crazy. There's little kids handing out licorice and stuff. It's so cool.
Yeah, we're kind of used to races where we're by ourselves essentially out there on the course. So
yeah, it was kind of hard to get used to, actually. I think that was part of what kicked my butt, because I'm used to just being able to get into my own head, and you get in your own pace, and you just kind of like, you just run. But then when there's people all around you, you don't have like the space to even swing your arms as much. You're kind of like stuck in this little pod of people for quite a while. And I remember one time I looked down at my watch. We were running 7:07. I don't even remember how many miles it was into. It had to be over 5, but under 10. And we're running at a 7:07 pace, and there's two guys in front of me that are about to like brawl each other while running this fast, right? And they're like yelling at each other and like pushing each other, but we're still like running. I was like, guys, how are you doing this?
fast and violent.
I think they were just really hyped up, and like someone cut somebody off or whatever. I don't even know.
Too much caffeine.
Yeah, totally. Oh man. Yeah, they need to put the what's the spring one that has the caffeine? The Hill-Aid. They need to put the
Hill-Aid. The Hill-Aid. Or the Speed Nut.
Yeah, they need to put the Speed Nut back in their pocket until mile 18.
So what was it? Do you remember what your time was for Boston?
Yeah, it was 3:21, because it was the 123rd marathon, and I ran it in 3:21.
Oh, very good. Excellent. Holy smoke.
My husband actually saw that and figured that one out. So it qualified me for this year. Yeah, so they've postponed it until September. So hopefully we'll all get to run together in September.
Oh, so you are planning to do the makeup race if it goes off?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Okay.
If can. If not, then I qualified again. So
did you do something Monday? I think you did something Monday.
Yeah, Marathon Monday. Yeah, my neighborhood supported me in the running of the first inaugural Orchid Land Boston Marathon. And a bunch of neighbors came out and maintained a 6 feet distance, which was really great because we've got a lot of dirt roads here. And so I just did laps around our block. So 2.8 miles around our block. So 9 laps plus 1 extra mile out and back. And it was just like an idea that I had, and I told Micah about it, and he was just like, oh, cool, let's get Sean and Tony on board. So we talked to Sean and Tony. Those aren't my neighbors, who this is their house. And man, they were so stoked on it. Tony started doing Facebook Live. She started a post about it. I told a couple neighbors, they told a couple neighbors, they told a couple neighbors. And so we ended up having like a start and finish line right here. My neighbor that lives right across the street here, she Cheryl is her name. She bought blue and yellow balloons and streamers, and they made a start and a finish line, and there was signs out. My neighbors up the block put signs and cones out saying "Runner on Road" and "Go Amy Go." And there's a golf cart, and friends of mine rode with bikes with me a couple times. And Justin came out and run a couple laps with me down on 39th. These people put out this like wooden person, and they were like Boston Marathon COVID-19 style, and it had like a mask on and everything. And it was really cool. It was really cool. I can't even believe it. And to have everybody like just support me in doing that. It was just like an idea just for fun, and then it turned into the whole neighborhood getting in on it and having a good time in a time when we can't really be together, but we can stand outside 6 feet apart from each other, no big deal, especially out here where we have a lot of space.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to, I'm only 8 miles away from Mono Road, so I go up there and plenty of room for social spacing, fortunately, or distance spacing. I don't want to call it social spacing. But did you have any other races that were you going to do Lava Man or anything?
No, I hadn't really thought about it. I have a tendency to sign up for races right before them. But no, I think I was going to do the XTerra again. I did that last year. Hey, check it out. I did it last year, and that was my first triathlon. That was really cool. It was really fun. And I qualified for the what is it? The Nationals or something like that?
The one over in Maui, yeah.
Yeah. So I qualified for that one at Kapalua, and so I went, and my dad flew out for that. And so I totally got to compete with all these like really into it XTerra triathletes, and that was an eye opener right there into what triathlons are. It turns out that there is a lot of strategy to the the turnover when you're like switching between like swimming to biking to running. Like people are really smart about that in the transition. I did not do very well. I literally had the second to last transition time. Like I was that slow, second slowest transition time.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was terrible. Michael was like, did you get hurt? Because he was tracking it online. He was like texting me being like, what is going on? Why are you still in transition? I couldn't find my bike, and I couldn't get my socks on. And, I didn't think it was any big deal, but apparently it makes a difference.
And this is your second XTerra triathlon, period.
Yeah, second triathlon, period. Yeah. Second, and still only second. I haven't done another one since. They're an interesting beast, those triathlons.
Oh, well, XTerra that's a totally different beast than just a regular kind of road triathlon and stuff. I didn't realize that you had done XTerra, the World Championship and stuff.
Oh my gosh, the bike path, like the path for the bikes on that is so fun. Oh my gosh. Oh, I wish we had a track like that around here. It's all like, most of it's dirt, so it's not like lava. If you look at it, you're bleeding. It has like all these bank turns and like these lofty parts, and it was so much fun. So much fun.
I heard, well, isn't it usually muddy? Well, you don't know. That's the first time you've done it.
Here the year before was really, really muddy, but they changed the course a little bit so as to omit part of the notoriously really, really muddy part. And now you do 2 laps. And so they've extended it off to the side more and it doesn't go up as much or something like that.
And usually the water entry is interesting there. It's usually there's a lot of surf, but you're a surfer girl.
Yeah, I had the advantage there because there was some good shore pound. It's a spot like I don't remember the name of the beach, but yeah, it's got some pretty good shore pound there, and definitely saw a couple people get pounded. But you just let the wave go, and then you're like time it, and you can just dive under it. And it was XTerra was really good about helping people learn how to do it. The whole like 2 or 3 days beforehand, they held clinics, and one of them was a swim clinic where they were like had people practice the ocean entry as to not get hurt. So I thought that was really cool of XTerra to do that.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I mean, it's a bad thing for race directors to assume because you've got into the race that you know what you're doing.
A lot of XTerras are like at lakes, you know, there's not going to be any surf at a lake. So, yeah, so they were Akamai to it. And they taught, you know, they had a bike clinic and a run clinic about like biking on the Big Island and running, or not Big Island, but in Maui, and handling the humidity of, and the heat of Hawaii. So it was pretty cool. I thought they did a really good job.
And we have had triathletes who are from the mainland ask about what the altitude of the swim course is.
That's awesome. Sea level.
Depends on the tide.
Yeah, totally. Except our tide is like not very big. Like I think the biggest like swing we have isn't even 2 feet. So like that's awesome.
Did you have any, were you signed up for, well, what's coming up next here would be probably Kona Marathon in mid-June?
No, I try to travel in the summer since I'm a teacher. And the Kona Marathon is always right around Micah's birthday. So it's like not really fair to be like, hey, it's your birthday, support me in this race.
Sherpa.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about you teach up at the school, which we had the Ohia half marathon up in Volcano last year. Can you talk a little bit about what you do at the school and what you teach?
Yeah, it's out in Pahoa, not Volcano. It's right in Pahoa town. It's called Hawaii Academy of Arts and Science, public charter school. And I've actually been teaching there for over, I think, 11 years. I think I'm working on my 12th year already, which is shocking to me. I started as an EA there, and we had a couple teachers quit right in the middle of a school year, like after I had been a TA for not quite a year. And they had me start teaching a couple of classes as an emergency hire, and then encouraged me to get my teaching degree. So I kind of stumbled into teaching a bit, but my school is so awesome that I couldn't help but stay. I teach marine science to seniors. Before that, I taught physics. But the kids, like, they've already taken math. They don't want to take physics. It was like pulling teeth. And marine science is like, you know, my jam. That's what I majored in college. So, so they were really supportive. My administration was really supportive in that. And I teach biology to 10th graders. And because it's a charter school and it's small, we also teach electives, as the core teachers teach electives. And I teach surfing and skateboarding.
Oh, okay. That now some of your posts make a little bit more sense to me because I didn't know what you were teaching.
Yeah, it's a cool little school. They even let me build a half pipe there for a skate class, which is really special.
So were you signed up again for the volcano? Well, I hate to call it just the volcano half because it's different names and stuff. The Ohia half at the end of July?
I wasn't signed up for it. I didn't get to run it last year. I was traveling somewhere. I can't remember where I was. I was somewhere. Oh, I was in Alaska last year. And so I haven't got to run the new race yet. But if I were here, I would want to run it for sure, because I love that. That's one of my favorite ones. That and Ka'u and the Hilo to Volcano and the Mana 10s. Those are like my favorite races.
So the school is on, you guys are finished for the year and stuff and going to be back in the spring, hopefully, or back in the fall?
Hopefully we'll come back in the fall. School isn't officially over, but we can't grade them on anything. It's just enrichment. So it's upkeeping Google Classroom and trying to give like enrichment activities and to reach out to students. But as they, they're high schoolers. My seniors, their year is pretty much over, and I'm super bummed about not getting to say goodbye to them. And they're not going to get a normal ceremony, but we're going to do like video things for them. So that'll be pretty cool. But we're still having weekly meetings and stuff, but pretty much it's just enrichment until summer starts, and hopefully we'll go back in the fall. Cross your fingers.
Yeah, I've seen some various plans for where teachers and parents are trying to get together for the graduation ceremonies, whether it's, cars that can drive by or something like that and stuff. So I don't know, I might throw it out to you guys to think about that.
Yeah, we've had a lot of ideas be tossed around. But we thought about doing a drive-through, but so far we've been denied on that one. We were wanted to do a drive-in thing where we had a screen and stuff, but they don't think that there's a location where we can have enough social distancing. So not totally sure. Maybe a car parade of some sorts, but I don't know. There's a whole committee of people that are working on that right now. And I'm not on that committee, but I'm helping work on the video for them. Well, kind of. I will be eventually.
So besides Monday marathons, have you been training? What have you been doing as far as staying active? I mean, other than I mean, a lot of your time is taken up with Zoom meetings and stuff like that. But what have you been doing to get outside?
I wouldn't say a lot of my time has been taken up with Zoom meetings. Actually, I've been very, very, very fortunate throughout all of this to live where I live, because we've got acreage. We've got 3 acres, and everybody around us has 3 acres, and the blocks are a mile long, bunch of dirt roads. So I've been running around in circles in my neighborhood. Justin and I and Bree and Jacob, we ran R1, but we did it apart. It was awesome. We all brought masks and hand sanitizer, and we were okay, go, and we're all running staggered out far apart from each other, just to be considerate to everyone's families and everything. And but it was really fun to get to run and be isn't this pretty? And oh man, it's so long though. That was the longest run I've ever done. It was 36 miles. That was not this weekend, but last weekend.
More than a 50K, yeah.
Oh man, it was intense. It was hard. It was so pretty though. But there was I think 3 hours that we were in a cloud, and so you couldn't see anybody because we were at this point, when you're running for that long, you don't run together and talk throughout that time. It's hours. So we had kind of distanced ourselves. And so for seriously, I'm pretty sure between 2 and 3 hours, we were by ourselves in a cloud, and you couldn't see much of anything except for the trees as they were coming close to you. And man, it was really kind of spooky, but it was fun.
Well, if people don't know, R1 is essentially it's a hunter's road that goes around slightly below Mauna Kea, where the top of Mauna Kea is and stuff. It was planned we were planned, what was it? Yeah, it was last weekend, to Alex Lucht had a 50-mile and a 50K race planned for that weekend, had permits and stuff for it, but obviously we had to cancel that. So that's great that you guys could get out though.
Yeah, it was cool. Originally hers was planned for the weekend after Hilo, the Hilo marathon. But something happened with the permits, they couldn't get them. And so then she rescheduled for the 18th, and that was going to be like right before Boston. So I told her I couldn't go because of the rescheduled time, and she was super kind about it. Like she refunded my money immediately, even though I was like, whatever, don't worry about it. Obviously, I mean, small little grassroots races, like they don't make money,
Mm-hmm.
And so she was really cool about it. And then like it turns out, one, I was here, and two, she couldn't do it anyways. Felt so bad. Poor thing.
Yeah, and that was because of the permit complications and stuff. That weekend was actually going to be the same weekend as Merry Monarch, which is a big hula festival, probably the biggest in the world here in Hawaii. And that was canceled too.
Oh, I forgot that was the same weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that is one thing about being here, though, that we are really blessed, is that we have every weekend there's something. There's a race every weekend. There's something that we're lucky enough that we hardly ever get snowed out.
Yeah, we get rained out.
Oh, no, we don't.
Yeah, we just run in the rain. What am I talking about?
Yeah, Hilo Marathon many years. The first Hilo Triathlon, I don't even remember how many years ago it was. It was the first time they'd done a triathlon in Hilo, and it was a typical Hilo day, just drenching rain the entire race.
Sounds about right.
Total fun. So you've got Boston planned coming up, and it sounds like you haven't got anything planned after Boston.
No, not really. We'll see. See how you feel. See what sounds like fun, and I don't know. I don't actually even know when the races are coming up. I have a tendency to look right beforehand.
Well, so far, let's see. Well, Alex's next race is actually supposed to be, and it might actually be pulled off, is like the first week in June, because it's the Hilo to Waimea.
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard about that just the other weekend. That's on the road, right?
Pretty much, it's like Hilo to Volcano, except it just goes to Waimea. It's an old race that the people from Hurt used to actually do it. It was always alternating. One year it would be Hilo to Waimea, and the next year it's Waimea to Hilo. And it works out to 62 miles, so it works out to being 100K.
Oh, wow.
And
that sounds like a really intense run, man, all the way through the gorges and everything. Whew.
She thinks, oh, no, you go Saddle Road.
What? Wait, what? You go up Saddle Road from Hilo, and you go across Saddle Road, and then do you take Old Saddle?
I haven't talked to her about the specific route. I think she was just going to have it come down New Saddle, because there's much better shoulder there, and then just go the upper road into Waimea.
Wow, it sounds doubly as brutal now.
The bad thing about it is all road. Which once you get used to running trails, you'd much rather be on a trail. But last time I talked to her, because I interviewed her about a month ago, and I haven't talked specifically about her. She was thinking about we might still be able to do it, because I signed up, by staggering the start. It was going to be a 5 p.m. start, like 5 p.m. on Friday. And then you had till like 1 o'clock the next Saturday to get into Waimea. There was going to be one cutoff time, which is you had to make it from Hilo to the recreation area, where the cabins are up by Mauna Kea there, by midnight, I think. So she gave you, I think, no, maybe later than that, I think. But there was a time limit from getting from Hilo up there, which is it's 34 miles from Hilo up to where the recreation center is and stuff. But with with everything with COVID-19, she had talked about kind of staggering people as they started. There's not going to be that many people. You're going to have, for somebody like me, social distancing is, way out. So we'll see. You know, I think she's like a lot of other race directors, stuck, trying to evaluate what's going on, and nobody knows what's going on. Kona Marathon, Brent still has not, as to me, I'm checking his website all the time, it has not canceled Kona Marathon. And Maui Marathon, the old Maui Marathon, which they changed it to be on the same weekend as Ironman in October, which is up to them. But they've already canceled for this year and saying they're not going to do it till 2021. So, and Kauai Marathon still hasn't said anything about what their plans are.
Yeah, I haven't run either of those. I bet the Kauai Marathon's really pretty.
You would love Kauai. I think I kind of got Bree talked into it a couple of years ago because I said, look, this is the hardest marathon of all the 5 that are on the islands. And it's beautiful. The people do a great job. It's not a huge race. It's difficult because from mile 18 to 21 is a Coloco steep road. So it's not at the best time in a marathon to have that amount of steep. And the people are great. They do drummers at every aid station. They have halals dancing at every aid station. It's really terrific. And it probably is the most scenic of any of the marathons because of the places that you go.
That's awesome. Kauai is so beautiful. Is that the marathon that she won and they sent her to Japan?
Yeah, she actually, well, it was she finished, I think, 2nd overall, and they were going to send the first overall person to Japan, and he declined. So it dropped down to where they offered it to her, and she got to go, which was, that's great.
That's so awesome. She was 2nd overall.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that race has a history of in the past. There's been women who have won it.
Wow,
overall.
that's cool. That's awesome.
That's very awesome. They had a challenge a few years ago where, because the course is so difficult, they brought in a couple of guys from Kenya to try and break. I think they wanted to see if they could break 2:30 or maybe 3, something probably closer to 3, and they couldn't do it. There was like a $10,000 prize to do it, and I still remember as I was headed up towards this golf course where the steeper sections are, I saw a couple of ambulances coming down, and sure enough, it was the guys from Kenya who had just totally bonked and
what?
needed to take an ambulance back.
Marley. Oh yeah, that's not good. That's not good. Oh, I saw a girl at Boston that had collapsed literally right at the finish line, right before it. So she didn't actually cross it. She had to have been, I don't know, 10 yards from the finish. Like she could have crawled, and she would have qualified for the next year because she's looked to be about my age, and I was right there with it. So, and it was heartbreaker, man.
Oh man! So what's your nutrition when you normally would either? Do you have different nutrition for training or different nutrition for the race?
Well, I have some food allergies, some of which I am more recently learning about just by elimination diet. But I'm definitely allergic to gluten, and I've known that for a while now. And so a lot of stuff has maltodextrin in it, so I can't eat it. Also, I don't really want to. For the most part, I eat vegan. I don't do any dairy or egg. Spring Energy is the one. I use Spring Energy if I need, especially if I'm traveling for a race and I can't make stuff, but I make my own energy balls out of bananas and peanut butter and oats and maybe rice if I don't have oats, and chia seeds and all that stuff. Just like make these little balls out of it, and tends to melt in your pocket, but you know, it works good enough. That's what I ate for the one I did last weekend. But as far as for training, there's Laird Hamilton Superfood. Have you heard of that?
Yep, yeah.
They have a hydrate that's really good. And so I use that for like training. Like I'll just, you know, mix the hydrate in a water bottle. And I really like it. I like the flavor of it. It hydrates me really well. Try to keep things as natural as possible because I have a pretty sensitive system. I haven't tried Tailwind. I hear you talk about it though. Do you know if it's gluten free?
I should know. I mean, I know it's gluten free, but I was going to look at the. Oh, that's right. Because when you mentioned maltodextrin, I know it doesn't have that. It's bad dextrose, which is basically, you know, sugar, you know, and this is the rebuild, but I know it does not have maltodextrin. I mean, it's basically sugar and sugar. Because I asked when I had a Zoom meetup with Maggie Gooderall, who's the rep, and I said, so can I tell people that the one sugar kicks in right away and then the other sugar is going to give you a little bit later on? And it's basically no. It's like it's what it claims to be. It's sugar, but it's the closest thing to what's the comparable insulin, or yeah. So I mean, it's just
insulin is like what your pancreas releases when you consume sugar to
metabolize it. Gosh, I should have had one of the little packets and stuff around here. It's the closest it's the closest sugar that there is to natural sugar.
Awesome.
That it produces.
And are you talking about glucose?
Glucose. It's glucose. That's it. It's basically glucose.
Because like anything that ends in ose is a sugar or saccharide, right? And glucose is a monosaccharide. It's the just one molecule. And then when you start adding more molecules, you have like a disaccharide, like sucrose or lactose are disaccharides, right? And then when you start chaining more together, you get a polysaccharide, you get a bunch chained together, and you get a complex carbohydrate. So glucose is just like one, and it can go straight into your cells.
And that's what Tailwind is. Both sugars in it are just one. You know, they're cool. Not. And the combination along with the potassium and you know, other salts and stuff, and have worked for me for, I don't know, I've been using it, I guess, for 10 years and stuff. And they're and you can see the packages right here. Yeah. This is the rebuild, the recovery thing. And I'm under an NDA, so I can't tell you about something that potentially is coming up. But we're doing some testing on some other good stuff, which would be right up the alley of what you're talking about.
Cool. That's awesome. It's amazing how how your nutrition plays a role. I was pretty ignorant to it when I was starting running, and I would bonk, and I'd be like, it's impossible to go these distances. How can you maintain this pace, you know? And if you fuel your body will react. The human body is such a fascinating thing.
Oh, and that's the experiment that we all have over the course of however many years, is figuring out you know, what works for you. You know, I'm one of the lucky people that I can eat anything pretty much at an aid station and not get an upset stomach or not really have it do anything to me. But you're right. I mean, if I do the wrong stuff, particularly the night before the race, not a good thing.
Yeah, you know, but that's the fun part about racing though too, is that it's that day. It's how you show up that day, right? Because you can put the training in, and you better put the training in, or else you're going to be bombing. but it's you show up that day, and you do your best with what you got on that day, and that's what's so fun about it. You can't control the weather, you can't control how your stomach feels. You can try your best, but It's all, I think that's part of the fun, you know, is
Do you have a pre-race meet or meal or anything that you want to eat the night before a race?
I try to keep it pretty standard to what I normally eat, but I'll just have like a little bit more rice, or I used to have like lentils, like I had to have lentils, but I don't do that anymore. But for me, how my system works is it's kind of slower, so it's the whole day beforehand. It's not dinner. Like it's more what I have for breakfast and lunch the day before than dinner. So I try to just like eat a bunch of small meals throughout the day. But if it's a race that I'm really excited about, that I want to do really well in, if it's not something that I've really been planning for, I found the best thing to do is just not stray from the norm. Is just like go for it, you know, just go run.
Yeah, just go run. Yeah, too many people I found, they've talked over the years about carbo loading, thinking that you carbo load the day before a race. No, 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 no. You eat lightly the day before a race. If you're going to do carbo loading or anything, it would be 2 days before the race, but not the night, not even the day before the race.
Yeah, it takes time for all that to metabolize and get actually into your cells, and to be there and be bioavailable, right? So it's pretty cool, like all the research that's been done on like athletics, just in my lifetime, where it was when I was in high school, and what they would tell you to do, and like, you know, gym class, the stretches you had to do and everything like that, and like I remember in elementary school having to do like the reach out and like touch your, like lay on the, like sit on the ground, and like they measured your physical fitness by if you could touch your toes. And I was like this weird gangly like giraffe of a person at that time. Like there was no touching those toes. Pretty sure my legs were different lengths, my arms were different lengths, you know. Like, and now to see where it is, and how much people know, it's pretty cool. The science of exercise, the science of the human body has come so far.
And that's because of, I think folks like you who actually question, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Why is this supposed to be good for me?
Yeah. How do you expect the 5th grade version of me to be able to hold myself up in a chin up? Like my shoulders are like this big and my legs are like this big. That's not going to happen.
Now that's a perfect analogy too of what people thought, well, what in your case maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and to what people thought. I was lucky. It was that age where our physical fitness was measured by being able to walk 50 miles.
As a kid, they had you walk 50 miles? Seriously?
It was a Kennedy thing when President Kennedy set out a challenge, and it was to be able to walk 50 miles. And a lot of people started doing it, which I think might have lent itself towards the ultra running community kind of starting up. People in my age group and younger, it was like, well, 50 miles, that's nuts. You can't walk that far. And people found out that they could.
That's so cool, man. No wonder you're good at these ultras. They started you really young, man. That's awesome.
Good is not anything I would say as far as me. Stupid. It's like you talked about your memory, after a race. As you get older, your memory just goes away. So you go, he lit a volcano. That wasn't so bad.
Yeah, I forgot about that whole 30 miles.
Well, and I just, to another example of stupidity on my part, I just signed up for Gary Cantrell, the Barclays. He's got a
no way.
He's got a thing, and it's a virtual thing. It's not virtual. You got to do it in real life. But he's got a thing and the money goes to the food bank in Tennessee, and it's a 1,000-kilometer challenge. So you have from May 1st to August 31st to complete 1,000 kilometers, which is, I had to look it up, it's like 641 miles. And well, that's 4 months, 600 miles. You know, I average 1,000 miles a year, probably.
Yeah, but you could do it though. You could do it if you just made, you know, if you did a little bit every day, and then every weekend did a nice long run.
It works out to 5 miles a day, which, you know, you can bank miles, you know, if you run 15, or if our races are going on where there's a half marathon or a marathon, you know, that buys you a few days and stuff. So and it was fairly inexpensive. I'm on a limited income, to say the least. Still looking, anybody who needs computer work, talk to me. How's it, computer? But, you know, so I thought I ran into a brief stretch just recently here of lack of motivation, as far as there's no races. You know, yeah, I love to get out every day, and we're lucky enough here. There's a farm that's doing you can get veggies, a bag of veggies for $15, and you go to the farm and leave the bag, and then the next day you come pick it up. But I don't know, I was kind of running out of motivation and thinking farther ahead. How's your motivation happening right now? What's motivating you? I mean, you got the kids, the kids that you teach and stuff, but what else?
I don't know. It's pretty outside. I write down what I do. And so in a calendar, like I keep my calendar going, and I write down everything that I do. And wow. So I log all my miles and everything. I've made a 6-minute a day plank challenge. So I've got to do 6 minutes of planks every day, elbow planks. And so I mark off on the calendar when I do it, and I want to try to do it consecutively for 30 days. I keep missing a day. I'm like, I'll get 4 days and I'll miss a day. And I'm like, dang it, start again. Just make me do planks all year long. It would be great. And a lot of projects going on, and, you know, just staying. I made a to-do list at the very beginning of all this of like, these are my goals. If I'm going to be home and I actually am blessed with time, I feel like time is a blessing, because I feel like I run out of it every day. I'm rushing, and to get to sleep and wake up when my body wakes up, and to sweep my house in the morning. I love sweeping my house in the morning. It's a blessing. And to be present in the conversations I have with my husband instead of thinking about what I've got to do tomorrow it's a blessing. So I made a list of goals for the time being, and you know, plant seeds, work on the garden, clean the cottage, you know, clean under the house, and build a new turtle. I have 2 tortoises, and I want to build a better like zone for them. And you know, and my husband wanted to cut down some trees. He wanted to see more sky. That was his goal. And so, you know, just making projects. I don't know. I haven't hit that wall yet where I'm not motivated, because I still have a lot that I want to do. And I'm super, super fortunate to have all these roads right here. And I log all my miles in my calendar. And so, like, you know, it's kind of motivating when you're like, man, last month I ran, this month I'm really lagging. I better get on it, you know? So that's kind of motivating for me.
That's I think, if I can sum up our talk here, it's like, I think 2 things I remember are just go out and run, and certainly celebrate every day and be present for everything that's happening in your life.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you so much. You know, I love you. You know, I wish that we could all be in our little group together, but, you know, things being the way they are for now, we're not. So, again, mahalo for taking your time. And is there anything you want to finish up with here?
Thank you. This is really flattering for you to want to interview me. That's really cool, man. Thank you. It's really good to talk to you, and it's good to see you more than just at the end of a race. It's really great. And thanks to Big Island running community. They're the best. Definitely changed my life. And yeah, I don't know.
Oh, we can't thank Amy enough for getting an opportunity to chit chat here on our little Hawaii Ultra podcast. It's such a great person, giving back to the community. I learned so much about her that I didn't realize she's from Kentucky. Michelle Tully, if you're listening out there, you guys should probably get together and talk. But again, thanks for her to take the time. And again, I'm focusing again on Big Island people that I know, athletes and stuff. And thanks to Tailwind for being a little bit of a sponsor for me. Appreciate that. And I apologize to Tailwind for not quite remembering what the sugars are and everything, but it's good stuff. And again, I can probably tell you that Tailwind has actually reached out to hospitals here on the island too, about supplying them with some free stuff so that the hospital workers can be taken care of. And again, thanks to anybody out there who's working in the service industry, in hospitals, or any kind of health industry and stuff. We appreciate the job that you guys are doing, keeping us safe and healthy. And again, please subscribe to the podcast. You can email me at joe@joefireball.com. You can also go to our webpage at HawaiiUltra.com, or you can go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/HawaiiUltra. So aloha from the Big Island.